In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how divs work and how you can manage, move, float divs and set margins to separate divs within a container or without a container. And so to begin with, I'm just going to create a new page here, new HTML in my site, and I'm simply going to call it, save this as my div page.html and save it into my root folder. And so now I've got my blank page here. I am going to go ahead and attach the style sheet that I've been working with, and I do that by going down to the little link tool. It comes up with the style sheet I've been using. I click OK, and so there's my yellow gradient background again. And I'm going to go ahead and insert a container div. Insert div tag, call it container. So we're using the same container that we've used in the past, and click OK. And as you'll recall, this container is 750 pixels wide. We can double check on that. If I go down here and if I double click to collapse insert, I look at the rules that I have in my style sheet so far. I can double click on container and take a look at the box category, and yes indeed, it's 750 pixels wide and right order, left order, so it is centering in the page. Very good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a series of divs in here and just show you how to insert divs inside a container and have them positioned to where we want them as we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to double click on the insert tab to open up the insert tools. I'm going to go to insert div tag, but I'm not going to wrap it around the selection. Instead, I'm going to say after the start of the tag, and from the pop-up menu here, I'm going to say container. So I want it to start right after the beginning of the tag container. So this is going to position it essentially inside that div. And I'm going to go to the ID field here, not class, and I'm just going to call this top. I want to add this as a top div, and you can see there it is there. It's called top. Now notice how everything's centered inside there because I've got the container. Everything is centered inside the container, and that's fine. I can leave it that way for the moment. It's not harming anything. But I do want to change the properties for the top div. So while it's selected, I'm going to go to create a new rule. So once again, click on the little page with the plus sign, new CSS rule, and it says container top. So it says you want to style a div called top inside container. Yes, I'm just going to leave it like that. So this is a compound style, and it's contextual, meaning that I'm styling this particular top inside the context of the container. I click OK, and all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to background. I'm going to change the background color so we know it's the top div, and I'm just going to make it this pale blue color here. So we've got this pale color. I click apply. You can see it changed to the pale blue up there. I'm also going to go to the block area, and I'm going to set the letter spacing, the text align, sorry, to no, I'll leave it center aligned for the moment. I'll leave it like that. The only other thing I'm going to do is go to box, and I'm going to give it some height here. I'm going to say I want the div to be, and I'll say 100 pixels high. Click apply. So you can see it got a little bit bigger up here. And that ought to do it. So then I click OK. So we've added a top div, and I can go up here and I can call it the top div. I can say this is the top div, just so we name them and we know what they are and how they're behaving. Alright, so that's one div added inside our container. Let's go ahead and add another. So I'm going to go to, once again, insert div tag. This time I'm going to say after tag, and I'm going to click on the pop-up menu here after the top div. So I'm going to position it after the top, and I'm going to call this left main div. Click OK, and while it's selected left main, I'm going to go in and close that, click on new rule, new CSS rule. The left main div is inside the container. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to go to background color. I'm going to give this a different background color just so that we can see it there. I'll give it this, let's see, I'll give it this pale pink. Click apply, and I'm going to go to block. I'm going to actually say text align for this. I'm going to set it to left and click apply. So you can see that I can override the previous rule, even though the rules are being inherited from the container. So the rule to center the content was inherited from the container, but I can go ahead and override that inherited rule with text align by doing it within the context of the new div called left main here. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm also going to go to box, and I'm going to make the width for this 150 pixels wide. I'm going to make it 300 pixels high, and I'm going to set the float here to left. I'm going to click apply. So now you can see that it's moved that over there. That's fine. The other thing I might do though is I'm going to go to uncheck the margin box, and I'm going to go to the top and give it a little bit of room, 5 pixels here from the top div, so that there's a little bit of space between them, and you can see it pops off there. It gives it a little bit more room, and I'm going to click OK. There we go. Okay, and I might put some content in there like this is the left main div. Here is some content. Menu, etc. So you get the idea. This might be a menu div over here. Okay, now I'm going to click back inside the container. Although that is not that critical when you're doing these div tags, you're really going to position them using the after or before rules here. So I'm going to click on insert again, and let's insert another div tag, and this time I'm going to say after tag once again, and I'm going to insert it after the left main tag this time, and I'm going to just call this one, I'll call it right main. Right main, and click OK. There's the right main, and I'm going to give it a new rule, new CSS rule. So this is the right main div inside the container div. Click OK, and this time I'm going to leave the type centered. Click on background, give it a background color. I'll go for this pale green this time. So we've got a very colorful container going on here. Click apply. There it is. I'll go to block. I'm going to leave the letter spacing the same, vertical align, text align the same. They're being inherited from the container. And I'm going to go to box, and I'm going to make the width on this, because the left div is 150 pixels and the entire container is 750 pixels. That leaves me with 600 pixels. So I'm going to make the width 600 pixels. I'm also going to make it float left. So you've got to do a little bit of math here if you're going to get things to line up exactly. Oh, and also height, I think I'll set the height at 300, the same I did with the left main div. So width 600, height 300, float left, and then I also want to uncheck the margin here and give it 5 pixels margin off the top div, and click apply. And so here you can see in the background that we've got these divs positioning themselves this way. And so everything looks fine here. However, if I want to separate these two divs a little bit, I'm going to have to give something away from the width to get some margin on the left between the left main div and the right main div, if you see what I'm saying here. So just to show you what would happen if I set the margin, let's demonstrate here. So if I set the margin to 5 pixels on the left and click apply, you could see the div pops right out of the container. The container can't support that much width, so we have to actually, to give our right main div 5 pixels margin, I've got to take away 5 pixels here. So I'm going to make this 595 rather than 600 pixels wide. Click apply, and that snaps it back up there. It's amazing how mathematics works. So now I've got my 5 pixels at the top, above both divs, and between these two divs. Now the last one I'm going to add is a div to go to the bottom here. And so I'm going to add a bottom div, if you like, for a footer area in our container. This is a very small container, but it's just for demonstration purposes. Click OK. And then the last thing we're going to do is delete the content finally for the ID container, because we don't need to do that. And then we're going to go to the insert menu once more, insert a div tag. This time we're going to say we want to insert that after tag. We're going to insert this after the right main. That was the last one we did, and I'm just going to call that bottom. Click OK. Then we're going to create a new rule for it. So I go down to the little page with the plus sign, click on that. It says container bottom. It's still inside the container, even though we can't really see the container apart from the other divs. That's what we want, and keep it in context. Click OK. And then I'm just going to go to background for this last div. I'm going to choose the gray color here. Click apply so we can see it in the background. I'm going to go to block. This time I'm going to align the text left again. You can see the text is going to go to the left here. If I move that up and click apply, it goes over to the left. And then I am going to simply go to box, set the width here to 750 pixels. I'm going to set the height to 40 pixels. I'm going to also uncheck this and give it 5 pixels padding at the top, and I'm going to also make it float left, and then click apply. And so now you can see that it is at the bottom here, and it's got the 5 pixels padding here. Now if I didn't set the float here, let's see what happens. If I don't get it to float, it pops outside of this. So I need to make sure it's floating left in order to position it correctly in the div. Float left. Let me open up the rule again. Click on this, go box, float left, click apply, and it goes in there and behaves the way I want it to. So that's how to add divs to a container, and to separate them with margins, and to use the float tool to get them to position them wherever you want. Okay.